All right, so let's close out the quarterback talk, man. Get this thing out the way because I know ain't nobody gonna like these options, but we got to talk about it because we had to be open to everything. Um, Pending free agent for Washington is Kyle Allen, restricted free agent. So we'll see how that kind of goes. Potential options out there in free agency. We have Jameis Winston from the New Orleans Saints, 28 years old. Jacoby Brissett from the Indian. No, he played with Miami this year. 29 years old. Teddy Bridgewater, Denver Broncos, 29 years old. Marcus Mariota, 28 years old, of the Las Vegas Raiders, and then Mitchell Trubisky with the Buffalo Bills, 27 years old. Fellas, I know where we are with this quarterback position and where we are with the roster. The question that I will ask to kind of shake things up is we talk about Carr, we talk about Wilson, we talk about Rodgers, and all of those options to trade for. I mean, Jimmy G, we would include in that as well. Jimmy G. Uh, Now on my outline, it was Matt Ryan up here, but after I did some digging, it's probably he'd probably end up staying in Atlanta for at least another year. But what if your options aren't the top tier and you had to go dig in free agency? Uh, what we know how unappealing it is, but we have to kind of consider that to be a possibility because there may be a drafted rookie coming in. So fellas, I'm gonna hand the floor to you all. You have some of the potential names; those are the top names in free agency. But what if your options aren't to Carr, Wilson, and Rodgers, and you had to dig and try and find that rookie that free agent quarterback to kind of keep things afloat?
I guess for me, if you're going to go that route, if you're not going to get one of the top, bona fide NFL guys that's available, then you're going to probably have to. I mean, Card taking off the table kind of throws me for a loop because I look at him. I don't look at him as one of the big available targets available. I look at him as the next level. Like he's probably in that 12 to 14 range of quarterbacks, and he's going to command a first round pick. But if you can't get Carr, then you're going to probably have to look at free agency. And this is where I'll probably look at a guy like Jameis Winston. And that's not to say he's going to be our franchise quarterback going forward, but this is just somebody you have to bring in because you have no one else at this point. So I'm looking at a Jameis Winston. But if you're going to go to free agency route in the draft or, in this off season, you have to draft a guy as well. Like you have to double dip the quarterback position. You just can't say I'm signing Jameis Winston. Here you go, Washington football with your new name and everything, your new rebrand. Jameis Winston is our guy going forward. No, you have to also draft a guy. You have to double dip at the position. Like you can't just settle and say this is it. This is it. I'm going with this guy, kind of like last year when he went with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen. They told you this is it. This is all we think we need at the position right now, and this is all we're going to do. But no, you can't do that this year. If free agency is the only route that you have at the quarterback position this year, you have to double dip. But if I'm going free agency, I'm definitely looking at a guy like Jameis Winston. Um, I hate to say Mitchell Trubisky, but that's the kind of desperation you're in with this franchise. I don't think he'll change much here. I don't think he'll do much here. But either way, you're going to have to draft a guy. And I think the first round pick would have to be a quarterback if you're looking at free agency for a quarterback.
See, so the issue I have is if you are going to sign a free agent quarterback and then draft one in the first round or second round, then you have to trade Taylor Heineke. He cannot be on this roster.
Hey, I told you.
He
Look, I
he
told
can
you. What I've been doing that all season. Dangling, put that thing out there, try your bait,
yeah
bro. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go.
he can't be on the roster at all if you have to go that way. But I feel like if you even have to go that route, Ron Rivera might as well start calling the movers. You feel me? And and getting ready to move out of Asburn, Leesburg, whatever the hell he lives. Because at the end of the day, you were brought in here to solidify this team. And even, trading for a guy like Derek Carr, I don't feel like that really moves the needle that much for this franchise. Yeah, he's cool. He's definitely a good leader. Like I've seen it firsthand, having a client that happened to get released and signed with the Raiders and seeing, Derek Carr, how he maneuvers in person and things of that nature. But it's like you gotta make a big splash here, man. Like from a corporate standpoint, you're changing your name. you're now trying to rebrand yourself and not be looked at as like the Deadskins or that team just called the football team. You need to make a power play. So that's why it's weird when I see people saying like, "Oh, I don't see Watson coming here. I don't see Rodgers coming here or Wilson coming here." Why don't you? You have a 50-50 chance. You feel me? Like nobody really knows what's going on, but if you know if you paid close attention to Daniel Snyder enough, forget even Ron Rivera. He wants to make that big play. He wants to make that big splash. I mean, they're announcing the damn team name on what is it? Good Morning America.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need to do that. You feel me? Like, you don't need to go on Good Morning America to announce your new team name. I don't think the Cleveland Indians went from the Cleveland Guardians and did an announcement on, you know,
They did that shit on Twitter.
on Good Morning America or NBC
They put
Today.
that on their draft and fucking he said we're gonna do it on this date at this time.
Yeah,
Tweet.
like you don't need to do that. So in order for this team to succeed overall and just to get their name out there in a better way and move product and get these tickets rolling in, because you can't change the team name and then the away team is taking up most of your seats. You have to go get that elite quarterback, and I think Ron knows it. I think he's kind of almost giddy about it because he knows that they're about to go all in. Because like I said, if they don't go all in for a quarterback and get an elite talent in here, he's never going to be a head coach in the NFL ever again.
I agree.
Because this team is not going to be able to sustain. Because it's like, what is the goal here? So let's say if you bring in a Derek Carr or you go and draft a rookie and you end up missing the playoffs or you make the playoffs and you lose round one, is that enough to keep Ron Rivera in town? Or could you just move on to the next coach and go about your day? Like, I just feel like this team has to be more aggressive with trying to acquire a quarterback, and free agency is not the option. If you even have to consider free agency and think about a Marcus Mariota or Mitchell Trubisky, you already lost. And the players are human as well. Like they realize who's going to be quarterback or not. Like if you watch a lot of these interviews that former players or current players talk about Tom Brady, what do they always emphasize? They emphasize on he gives you hope that you even have a chance to compete. You know, like disregard everything certain guys have said about Taylor Heineke in the past year and a half and how much they like him or they compare him to so-and-so guy, whatever. In reality, he doesn't really give them a real chance to win or compete for something real, which is the chip. He doesn't give them that. And the thing with football players, man, they bullshit and they lie a lot to the media because the fact they don't have guaranteed contracts. So they're always scared. Like they never really speak their truth until they're at the end of their career or it's already over. And it's like you bring in a Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers in here, even a Derek Carr, those guys going to be like, oh, that boy a baller. Like, we done seen what he's done. We feel like we have a chance. But if you go and bring in a Mitchell Trubisky, you're like, oh, shit, here we go again. I'm about to try to see if I can get out of town. If I can get on a new team or I'm out of here when my contract expires.
So,
like,
here's the thing.
Could you imagine being Terry McLaurin? You sign your new deal and you get no quarterback in this trade market and your team comes out and says they're signing Mitchell Trubisky? You'd be like, what the hell did I just do?
So here's the thing that I got with this position and the situation that Washington is in, right? Now I know when people say this, right? I know they're not saying literally, but it's important to talk about this side of it. And what I mean by this is like going into the new rebrand, the new brand, the new Washington, whatever their name is. Obviously, you want to go in there with your quarterback, and I think people kind of confuse the timelines. And what I mean by that is Washington is coming out with their new name next week. Free agency doesn't start until March. Free agency doesn't start till like 2 weeks into March. So while you'll hear some rumors around Super Bowl time, because that's from what I remember, those are some of the times that previous trades that were in place. I think Matt Stafford and Alex Smith come to mind. Those two were done around the Super Bowl time. So you kind of knew the framework in place. However, at the end of the day, enough time will have passed from the name, the rebrand, the all that stuff to free agency where you're like, okay, now that we're done with this, we have to realistically think about our options. And if something happened where they said free agency is where we're gonna have to pick up a placeholder, and do whatever with Taylor Heineke. Kyle Allen's already about to go because he's restricted, but he's a free agent. We don't want to bring him back. You have to figure that part out. And I think if something makes sense for them, I wouldn't be surprised if they went the free agency route. But also think realistically, when we talk about making that big splash, it's going to be hard to do. Now, my question to you, AJ, when you were talking, when you said it's a 50-50 chance, my question is, what's 50-50? Like, how do we define 50-50 when it comes to Washington and their chances of competing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins, and other teams like that who have similar, if not more, firepower to bargain for a trade? Even the Broncos, I would imagine, I don't know what they would be willing to give up because they have a very good roster right now. So it's like, are you going to willing to give them some pieces? But what's 50-50 when you're comparing them to other people out there with more firepower and you're talking about 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and odds are all 3 of them aren't going to be moving at all. It's probably going to be maybe 1 or 2. It's not going to be everybody.
I mean, I think 50-50 is because for the particular reason of them being the quarterback and being high magnitude individuals, they control their destination. So no matter if the Detroit Lions came in and offered picks for the first round picks for the next 10 years, it wouldn't matter. That player still dictates where they want to go, and they have control and say so to work out that trade, whether it be with their agent and the other team and all 3 together, all 3 parties work together. However, they control their destination. Let's say even example, Pittsburgh, right? I can't remember Pittsburgh's exact draft capital situation because I don't know. I can't remember exactly how much they gave up for Minkah Fitzpatrick, if they have a first this year or not. But is that really a better team? Like, they don't have an offensive line. You just
They're much more stable though.
Yeah, they're a much more stable organization and a great coach. But do you have the players around you to be successful? You have a solid defense, but it's lacking pieces over there as well, whether it be from certain linebackers inside or corners. It's not a well put together team talent wise. It's just Mike Tomlin does a very good job of coaching, right? But if you're a quarterback, what pieces do you really have that intrigue you that much? Are you trying to go over there and play with Deontay Johnson as wide receiver, who's I think is a free agent as well? You're trying to play with Claypool. So I feel like you can – it all depends on how you go about this, man. Like, you can go to a quarterback and work out the details and say, hey, who also would you like us to be interested in bringing in here that, can make this a great partnership marriage. The first crack you really got at things before Super Bowl is Senior Bowl next week. All the teams are going to be there together. Their GMs, their scouts, all of those things. They'll be able to talk face-to-face, hang out with each other, go grab lunch, go grab dinner. You'll start to hear those rumors come out. You'll start to hear interest and a little bit more conversation. You also got the combine after Super Bowl and before free agency. So you'll have a better gist of what's going on. But that's why I say it's 50-50. Nobody truly knows where these guys want to go. It's a lot of rumors. I mean, you see a lot of people trying to take their little spin and crack at leaking news. But the Jordan Schultz, I think a couple weeks ago, was like, yeah, Deshaun Watson and Brian Flores have been in constant communication. They want to work together. And then that motherfucker had to post something where he retracted everything the other day that he said. Nobody truly knows but those individuals and the people that represent them, the list of teams that they want to go to. And, if Russell Wilson truly comes out and says, like, hey, I don't want to be in Seattle, they're gonna have to trade him. They're not gonna be able to hold him against it. Will already kind of put it out there last year with his agent dropping some of those team names. So it's just wait and see approach. But if you don't pull this off, then what will this fan base look like if you come out and you now have to pursue a quarterback within free agency? Because these draft prospects at quarterback don't look too pleasing to me to be high on and say, hey, I can't wait till we draft so and so. I think it's gonna happen, and I've told y'all I think it's gonna happen in the same 24-hour span. It's great PR, it's great branding, great marketing. Like Dre even touched on, Matt Stafford got traded on the 30th of January last year. Alex Smith, same thing. Next week is the first opportunity for these scouts and GM and player personnel people to see a lot of the top quarterback prospects at the Senior Bowl in person. Because Malik Willis is going to be there. Ryan Pickett is going is his name Ryan Pickett?
No, Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, my bad. Kenny Pickett is going to be there. Matt
All
Corral
of
is going to be there.
Ritter.
All of the Ritter's going to be there. The top guys that you see as quarterback prospects are going to be at the Senior Bowl. You'll be able to see them on the field. You'll be able to sit down with them. You'll be able to have different conversations with them and their representatives. And on top of that, those same representatives represent the guys that you possibly might want to trade for. So it works hand in hand. I definitely feel like more rumors and more talk is going to start coming out next week. And then it'll work in perfectly with the team announcement. But if you don't really see anything happen by next week, then they probably won't be trading for a quarterback. Because in the past couple of years, it's traditionally hasn't been happening after Super Bowl. It's been happening before Super Bowl, where these big blockbuster trades are happening with the framework in place, and that allows a team to be able to, go about scouting and who they want to bring in prospect wise and go after for the draft much differently. Yeah, also free agency. Because you want to be able to have an ideal of your team going into the combine, so that when you are in Indianapolis, you can have these conversations. A lot of things happen in Indianapolis that the NFL knows about, and I guess maybe they don't want to police it so much, but it's a lot of conversations, back door, front door, main lobby, dinners that take place, and you just want to be able to set up everything perfectly, because a lot of these free agency deals definitely get chopped up at the combine.
Whole hard in the trenches, ask a nigga what he benching, triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches, ask a nigga.